Hey kids, Flexing Teacher Weber here. I hope you're having a good day. So we have started a new unit on square numbers, and today we're going to focus on beginning to look at square roots. Now, one of the things the kids had to do was memorize the perfect squares from 1 times 1 to 20 times 20. That'll really help them in this unit. What we're going to do today is start looking at what square roots are, what they actually look like as a picture. So what we started out with here is we started out with a perfect square. And we drew a simple square. We drew a square that has an area of 4 square units, like that. And so I would say the area of this square equals 4, I'll say square units, SU. And we already know that the side length of this square is equal to 2, okay? And what we also said is that the square root of this square will be equal to 2. Because this is a 2 by 2 square. So basically what this means is what this is showing us is that the square root of a number is the side length of a square. Basically, if a square has an area of 4 square units, then the square root is the side length of 2. So we would say the square root of 4 is 2. This symbol right here is the symbol for square root. And sometimes you'll see it written like this. You'll see it written with an unknown number x in there as well, and sometimes you'll see it written with a little 2 up there indicating we're talking about the square root. So it can be written in many different ways, and I also showed the kids how to do this on a calculator, but we won't be using a calculator much in this unit other than to focus or check our answers. We're going to be doing a lot of mental math and estimating with square roots. So wanted to just focus on what a square root is. So a square root is the side length of a square. Then just to reinforce that a bit, so say we have this square that has an area of 144 centimeters squared, and I wanted to find the side length of this square, the length of this side. Well, knowing that, I would say the length of this side is 12 centimeters. How would I know that? Because the square root of 144 is equal to 12. Okay, so square root is the side length of a square. Now to throw something else on here, is this an exact answer? Or is it an approximate answer? Well, 12 centimeters is exact because this is a perfect square. 144 is one of our perfect squares. So that means 12 centimeters is an exact answer. Okay. Now what we're going to do in our next activity, we're going to look at what happens when we don't have a perfect square. So for the next activity we did, we started off with what we already knew. We're going to start estimating square roots. But we started off with what we already knew. So we started with a square that has an area of 9. It's not the best square ever. So I do this and that, this and that. This is a 3 by 3 square that has an area of 9. So 9 is one of our perfect squares. So is this a perfect square? Yes. I like writing in blue. So this is a perfect square. What is the square root of 9? Well, the square root, that's the square root symbol. The square root of 9 is 3. It's the side lengths of this square. Okay? So the square root is 3. Is the square root of 9 exact or approximate? It is exact because 9 is a perfect square. Okay, so that's sort of a summary of what we've done so far. Now what we're going to do in our next video is we're going to start looking at squares that aren't perfect squares. They're not technically squares, and how we can estimate the square root of those. And we'll start off by doing it with pictures. But that's the focus, or that's the end of this video. So the main ideas I want you to get out of this is that square roots are the side lengths of squares. And if we have a perfect square, then we have an exact square root. In our next video, we will look at imperfect shapes and see how we estimate the square roots of those. That's all for now. Flexing Teacher Weber, out.